Hello and welcome back. So now in this video, we'll be discussing and having a fair comparison between Node and Deno, right? So talking about Node and Deno, let's talk under the hood. So Node.js under the hood has been built with C++, which uses the V8 engine to execute the JavaScript code, right? And V8 engine itself has been originally developed for Google Chrome to execute JavaScript in the browser very quickly, right? Now, Deno also relies on V8 engine, but instead of C++, it uses Rust, which is actually a very fast going programming language and gives performance better than C++, and especially emphasis on security, memory access error, and buffer overflow, right? So Deno uses something better in writing the baseline code. It uses Rust, which is supposed to be better than C++, and Rust is also a very popular language nowadays, right? Talking of security, a common criticism for all Node.js program is that after the Node.js program is running, it can access anything inside your system and no one can stop it and the user cannot notice it. And this is scary. If you install a package and if you start running a Node.js program, I can write a malicious code which can go into your environment variables, which can go into your file system, delete file system, access anything and send it to me, right? But for Deno, if we run a script which tries to use anything outside the sandbox, now a sandbox, I will be discussing about security in a separate video. We have got a dedicated video on security, so just bear with me, get a basic understanding of how security works, and in the dedicated video on security you will have a deep understanding on how security works, right? So if anything happens and if any program asks for or tries to access anything outside the sandbox, it will ask probably for an explicit permission, right? So let me give you an example. So this is a Deno script which allows to access the internet permission on your system, right? So when you execute this without giving explicit permission of allow net, it will give you an error called permission denied, and you will be seeing this demo in the next videos and in the subsequent videos, wherein I'll be repeatedly showing this to you, wherein how you can mitigate this error, how you can use it to your advantage. We all will be talking about permissions and security, right? Going to imports. So in Node.js, imports were used by npm. So we used npm, which was used to install packages, and node modules folder was actually very big because npm resulted in huge node modules folder. So what happened was node modules folder was so big that we did not commit it to GitHub. Rather than what we did was we had a package.json. So every time some person has to execute our code, has to run npm install, which goes into the package.json, again installs all the node modules from npm and then starts the code, right? But Deno uses a separate concept. It uses ES6 imports, wherein it is directly importing things from the web, right? Now you would be asking me that will it download these files every time you execute the code? No, it will cache it, and I will be talking about caching and how efficiently Deno manages all the imports at a later and in a dedicated video. Just for now, you can understand this is how everything works, right? Now we will also discuss about that how you can rely on this URL. Like I told you that anyone can send you a malicious script through an npm package. Anyone can also give you a malicious script through this particular URL. That's absolutely right. But for now, just hold on for some minutes. In the next couple of videos, this particular confusion of yours will be solved when we talk about caching, when we talk about imports and security, right? Then Deno supports TypeScript out of the box. Now, TypeScript is something, of course, a matter of taste, right? Many celebrate it, many say that it is unnecessary, right? But the most important thing is that TypeScript and JavaScript both are supported out of the box, right? And Java and Node does not support TypeScript, right? So this is actually fantastic. People who are willing to write TypeScript code can write out of the box in Deno, right? And people who are willing to write JavaScript code they can write JavaScript for. So at the end, you can save the file with extension.ts or with JS and simply execute Deno run file name and it will execute it. So it is not that only TypeScript is supported. It has got support for both TypeScript and JavaScript, right? Now, a few more, like a more complete standard library is available in Deno, right? I will be having a dedicated video on modules and standard library in the next couple of videos after, right? But you need to understand that Deno has actually given us support for more and more complete standard library, which allows you to use the basic functionality like HTTP request, generating UUIDs, colors, etc., from the standard library itself. You don't have to use standard third-party packages for it. Now, the reason it is doing this is because when you're using a framework or a server framework called Deno, we expect it to give most of the things from the standard library itself. Node doesn't offer it. Node, in order to use Node, you need to use many third-party packages, right? So apart from this, decentralized packaging system has been implemented in Deno. Now in Node, as of now, the scenario is that NPM has got all the packages centralized, like 350,000 packages approx are there on NPM, and it has got like 350,000 packages centralized in its repository, right? But Deno uses a decentralized approach wherein you can directly get the packages using a URL, right? And we will be discussing about this also in the coming videos. So whatever I'm discussing here will have dedicated videos on each and every pointers, right? Now, one small feature which comes out of the box in Deno is access to browser API like window and fetch. Now, one of the most important thing here is that objects like window, fetch was not accessible in Node, right? So we had to use third-party alternatives to use these basic functionality, but Deno gives this support out of the box, which allows us to use the browser API and the fetch like window fetch object directly from the browser, right? And also I'll be showing you a demo of this when we do a case study, wherein I'll show you how we fetch the post or to-do list using the fetch API. But for Node, you had to use something like Axios or some other library, right? So talking of design shortcomings in Node.js, and these are not something which I am telling, this has been told by Ryan Dahl, who is the author of both the Node.js library and the Deno library, right? So I guess when he's saying something, we have to rely on it. So he says that a poorly designed module system with a centralized distribution, that's what we have discussed in the previous videos, right? And a lot of legacy API must be supported, but it is not supported like modern browser APIs. I'm talking about this browser API, but it is not supported in Node. And a lack of security, which we have already discussed. And we will also discuss all of these shortcomings, how all of these shortcomings are fixed by Deno in a separate video, and we'll have each and every video for each and every feature or pointer we have discussed in, right? So as of now, you would be thinking that, yeah, Deno has a better design. Obviously, design wise and technicality wise, Deno is like a superset of Node, I can say, like, or else I can say a much better version of Node, right? So now this is it for this video. See you in the next video.